guys, my name is Abby. Welcome to my channel. I know we're living in difficult times, but I hope everybody's doing well and doing the best that you can to keep your vibrations high and, not giving into fear and just basically doing your best to get through one day at a time. If this is your first time on this side of YouTube, I hope you will find the information that you come across valuable to you in some way. And if you do find the information valuable to you, it'd be great for you to go ahead and subscribe. If you subscribe, you're helping my channel to grow. Or just hit the like button if you do like whatever you find on this channel. Everyone wants to hear about the wonderful things that happens in Africa. But as I always emphasize, living in Africa is not utopia. So today I'm going to talk about some of the things that you need to consider before you actually make your move to Africa. Anyone making a move to Africa, or in this case the Gambia, you need to be aware of some of the things that are not so good. In knowing this, you will know how to protect yourself in the long run. I should add here that Africa does not hold the monopoly of, things that can go wrong. Things can go wrong in every country. The key to preventing some of these challenges or some of these mishaps is for you to understand about the country that you are thinking about moving to in the future. A holiday is so much different from the reality of actually moving to another country to live permanently. And in the case of Gambia, there are some things that you need to consider before you actually make that move. You need to consider, how do I trust people? What are the things that enable me to trust people? Do I just trust people because they smile, or how do I trust beyond the smile? You have to think about, do I know enough about a person in order to reveal things about myself? And you also need to consider, who do you let inside your home? How much do you reveal to people? How much do you reveal about yourself or any assets that you have? One thing that you cannot escape from when you actually move to the Caribbean or Africa is that people automatically think you're loaded. They believe that you are loaded simply because you're coming from the West and you are able to come to the country and buy yourself a house or buy yourself a land. They don't understand all the things that you've had to go through in order to get enough money to escape from the West and move back to Africa. They don't understand none of it. So no matter what you tell them, they don't believe. Even if your neighbor who has never left the country has a bigger house than you have, they are not looked upon as being rich. But you, as a foreigner who you've moved to this particular country, automatically you are seen as though, you have an eternal stream of income that is always available to you. They believe that from you can afford to buy a piece of land or a house that you must be loaded. So you need to be aware of these things. They believe that you're loaded, and they believe that you could never have a need, and, you should be able to give whatever is asked of you because you have money. So, at this stage, I'd like to make it clear for people who do not understand that people who live in the West have had to work for many years in some adverse conditions, long hours, leaving your house early in the morning, coming back home in the dark, just to accumulate enough money to say that, okay, one day I want to leave the West. That's not the place where I belong, because of all the things that happens, to people who are living in those countries. And when I say people, I mean people of color especially. So, you have this dream of one day you're moving back to the motherland, and it feels right. When people do eventually realize that dream, all the money that you've accumulated is invested in that property or that piece of land that you have bought. There's no stream of income. There's no everlasting stream of income where you have money available to you all the time. All your money is tied up in the property or the land that you've bought. So it's a big misconception for people to believe that people who are coming from the West, that they come in with a bank, and they never have a need and they always have money. This is just not true. So it's a big misconception to believe that people who are coming to Africa or coming to the Caribbean from the West, that they are loaded. This is just not true. And, people actually need to understand that fact. So the reality of moving to a new country do have its challenges, and you will come up against many of these challenges. But the key to help you to protect yourself is to arm yourself with as much information as possible. The key is having knowledge about the place where you want to move to eventually. Don't let your vision become clouded because you've been on a holiday and everything seems perfect. The same, when you get married, it's a honeymoon period. It's so wonderful during the honeymoon period and you think everything is just going to be perfect all the way. But as you go along, you find that there are challenges. It's the same thing that happens. That's the only analogy I can use to say that this is the same thing that happens when you move to a country that you fall in love with. You go through the honeymoon period and then the reality sets in. And some of the things about the reality are not so nice, as well as the other wonderful things that happen within the reality. You will find that there are also challenges that you need to work through. One of the things that you need to consider is that when you do move, remember that Africa is not the UK and it is not America. You will have long periods where you will have enough time to experience the reality of the culture. And there are some great things about the culture, as well as things that you will definitely not like. For example, you may have days where you will go without electricity or water, unless you've installed a system where you do not have to depend on the government operated systems. There's long periods where electricity will be off. Your fridge may get defrosted unless you have something else to back up your fridge when these things happen. And in the same way that you will find some things that are unacceptable, unmanageable in the beginning, there are also things in Africa that the indigenous people will not accept from you, and that's why it's so important to learn about the culture. You may be tricked into a business deal because you don't understand the protocols, you don't know how to go about starting a business, and you may eventually buy a piece of land that in the end it will not be yours. You will find that it still belongs to the family. It's very important that you know about these things, and I'm going to upload a video after this one which will highlight some of the very important things that you need to know in order to avoid the pitfalls of buying land and becoming disappointed. We've seen a lot of things on YouTube about buying land and how easy it is, but really it is not as easy as people are telling you. It can be a long and complicated process, and a lot of people get disappointed when they go down this road. So it's good to arm yourself with knowledge about buying land and property. The move to Africa can be wonderful, but it also has its challenges, just like everywhere else. For example, there's a place in London called Brixton, and this place was notorious for a lot of bad things happening there. And people from the outside would not want to go to Brixton, but I lived in Brixton, and despite the fact that there were so many things going on around me, I was not afraid because I was aware of how the system works. Same in places like America. People will be walking down the street where gunshots are going off constantly, but because they're aware of the system, it doesn't affect them and they do not feel threatened in any way. So the same thing applies when you move to a new country. you need to be aware of the system. You need to arm yourself with knowledge and understanding of what could take place. This will enable you to feel secure. And I always say to people, the best way to learn about life in another country is for you to possibly go there and live for 3 months to 6 months. And I'm telling you, that actually works. It gives you enough knowledge about the place in order for you to find out if this is where you actually want to be. And you also learn about the culture. You learn about some of the pitfalls. You learn about what can happen in a particular culture. And you learn about how to protect yourself. So because you've been on holiday, and it's just so beautiful when you go on holiday, the reality is different when you actually live in a country. Once you learn about how the system works, you will be perfectly okay. You will find that there are shocks along the way, but once you learn about the system, again, once I repeat, but once you learn about the culture and what is acceptable, what is unacceptable, what is true, what is not true, what is unreal, what is real, then you'll be okay in the end. In the event that you do go through some of these challenges, you should use it to help others and to enlighten others about the things that can happen to them and how they can avoid it. And you can also use this as a learning process for yourself, so the next time you will not come across the same kind of challenge again. So you need to keep an open mind. Don't expect the same way of life that you have in America or in the UK to be the same as it is in Africa. It's different in wonderful ways, and it's different in ways that are not so wonderful. Africa is a very spiritual place, and if you can connect to the energy and arm yourself with knowledge, then it will work out well in the end. I've learned so much about being in Africa that I can walk down the street, I feel quite comfortable. I know the pros and the cons, and that did just not have happened overnight. It took years of learning. Things that happened to me in the beginning could never happen again because I'm aware of how the system works. I'm aware of how people work. I'm aware of how people work. I'm aware of the culture. I know what is acceptable. I know what is unacceptable. And I know how to proceed if I want certain things done in a legal way. And as I like to repeat what I've said before, try and go to Africa for 3 to 4 months, 3 to 6 months, and live there so you can arm yourself with enough knowledge about your choice. So in closing, I just want to remind you that mishaps happen everywhere. Challenges are everywhere. No country is utopia. You just basically need to learn about the place that you intend to move to. Learn about the pros and the cons. Learn about the pros and the cons and do a lot of research before you make the final move, and everything should be okay. So, until next time, have a blessed day, and thank you all so much for watching. So have yourself a great day, a great night, a great evening, wherever you are in the world, and I hope to see you all again next time.